don't want to move out their parents' house. They feel they're like adult children or adult teenagers.
Yeah, I'm good on that.
Because you're up until you're like 20. Well, in psychology, up until you're around 22 to 25, your prefrontal cortex hasn't come into, like, you can't really. That's when you make the real hard decisions. That's when your decision making aspect of your brain really comes into play. So a lot of people, it's like they get stuck before that and they don't grow past thinking a certain kind of way. They don't want to go to college. They don't want a career. They don't want to leave their parents' house. They kind of do the same things and making the same decisions they made in their 20s that they were supposed to learn from.
Hey, yo, check this out. Sean Johnson, Old Head Steph, Sade Renee,
Namaste.
you tune back into another episode of the IC. Welcome back, motherfuckers. Yes, sir.
And don't be too pressed. It's your boy, Old Head Steph. Once again, you know where to follow me at. Twitch, YouTube, Discord. We in there. Pressing buttons. Be there. Be square. Be circles. Be round. Be all that shit. You know what I'm talking about?
Namaste. Hey guys. So we want you to send in those emails. Please send in the emails so we can use them on future podcasts. We're going to answer questions. We're going to read them and base the podcast basically around them. So send your emails to asksaderenee@gmail.com so we can talk. This week's email says, "Hey girl, I hope this letter finds you well. I wanted to start by thanking you for your fantastic podcast. As a regular viewer, I find your insights and advice to be valuable, and I appreciate the thoughtful way you approach challenges and opportunities. I wanted to reach out to you today with the question that's been on my mind lately. Recently, I've been noticing that some of my peers seem to be stuck in a mindset of wanting to relive their 20s. They talk about the past as if it's some golden age, and they seem to be constantly chasing after the same experiences and feelings they had back then. I understand that everyone's journey is different, and I don't want to judge anyone for how they choose to live their life, but I can't help wondering if this kind of thinking is holding them back from fully embracing the present and all the opportunities that come with it. I'm curious to know if you've encountered this kind of mindset among your listeners or friends, and what advice might you have for those who feel stuck in it? I know you've talked about it before, the importance of being present and focusing on the future rather than dwelling on the past. I'd love to hear your thoughts on how we can help our peers who seem to be stuck in this mindset. How can we encourage them to embrace the present and look forward to what's ahead? Thank you again for all the work you do, and I look forward to hearing your thoughts. Best regards, XOXO.
There's a couple friends I had to cut off because of stuff like that. But it's not always a bad thing. Like, for instance, like I had a friend that was like stuck on doing like juvenile hoodlum shit that we used to do like in our early 20s, 18 years old. And if you find that nigga today, he's probably still waiting for Thursday to do the same stupid shit that we used to do when we was kids. I had to cut that person off. But then there's other friends that I have that are like, they just stuck in a time zone. Like one of my niggas, I'm not gonna mention his name, but like we call this nigga 80s because he's just, the music he listens to is 80s. The way he dressed, he's still wearing baggy clothes. Well, I guess the 80s wasn't like that, but 90s to 80s, you know what I mean? Like he's still wearing like big ass tees and baggy ass jeans, and everything that he likes correlates with like old school vintage shit, I guess now, and like he collects like old school vintage shit. And we make fun of him for it, but he's like, it's not like he's it's, I don't know, maybe it is like, it's not as harmful as somebody that's like doing past or childish or immature or just not growing financially or like where he can't sustain in life. It's just, I guess that's just, I don't know. He's on that nostalgia drug that I always talk about. Some people love that. And I think if it's at what level does it become harmful? If it's not holding you back from like growing, man, hey man, like you could suggest little things here and there, like, but if it is, I would just like, I'm not gonna lie, just get away from them people. I don't, anybody that's stuck in the past where they can't let go, I gotta get away from them.
Is it really being stuck in the past, or was the person talking about
the mindset, having a young mindset? Like I call it Peter Pan syndrome. Like we're in our 30s, but they still conduct themselves as if they're 19, 20 years old. They're still, the relationships are the same. The way they conduct their friendships are the same. Like, it's the mindset. Like, they don't want to get a job.
Okay.
They don't want to move out their parents' house. They feel they're like adult children or adult teenagers.
Yeah, I'm good on that.
Because you're up until you're like 20. Well, in psychology, up until you're around 22 to 25, your prefrontal cortex hasn't come into, like, you can't really. That's when you make the real hard decisions. That's when your decision making aspect of your brain really comes into play. So a lot of people, it's like they get stuck before that and they don't grow past thinking a certain kind of way. They don't want to go to college. They don't want a career. They don't want to leave their parents' house. They kind of do the same things and making the same decisions they made in their 20s that they were supposed to learn from.
See, the thing about that is like, being free is the shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Free is the shit.
Like, I remember, like, sometimes I still think about, like, just being 13.
Oh my God.
And just playing outside till the moment I wake up. It's like, just eat a bowl of cereal, go outside until, like, I'm tired and I'm like, I've done. And there's no real things I have to do. Especially in the summer when there's no homework. Yeah. There's nothing I really have to do but what my parents or what my mom told me to do around the house. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like I can get the fact that people don't want to let that part of themselves like go. Yeah. Kind of like Nas had that song Second Childhood. You know what I mean? But it's like I think it's because of this. Check this. I call it the Al Bundy effect or the Uncle Rico effect, right? You'll have this dude in high school, he was the shit. He's the good looking quarterback, right? Usually the good looking quarterbacks are pumping gas now, right? That's the whole like thing that they say. And it's because they built themselves up to a point where that was their full identity and they peaked in that identity. Now you're outside of school, you're in the real world, and those things don't really matter outside of who you used to be. So now you find yourself saying, oh, I was a star quarterback back in 88. Or, I was, you know what I'm saying? Because it's like you get like overly attached to that identity. Yeah. You know what I mean? And it's like, I'm not sure if that's what the type of question.
Yeah, it was kind of vague, but that's what I meant. Like, and also I don't mean like just get rid of them. I mean if it's affecting like the way I heard that it was a friend of theirs, right? Or
they're
people that they're peers. Yeah, I personally I get turned off by it. I don't like to judge anybody because you never know what kind of traumas a person goes through for them to have that. But if it's like from experience, that type of behavior is contagious. So I have a tendency to cut ties with people that are stuck in a past where it's detrimental to their progress in life, and it's not just about financial because it's just like for instance, a grown person doesn't have tends to stray away from messy problems. Like, you know what I mean? Like I had a couple friends that had like a lot of messy problems and they would bring it into my life. And being a friend, you want to help them through that, but then you find yourself in a situation where it's like, what the fuck am I doing in this situation at my big age? You know what I mean? So it's just like, I feel like it's very necessary to get away from the ones that are toxic. I hate using that word because it's so fucking toxic.
Overused.
Yeah, overused. But it's just like if it's detrimental to you, or if you find yourself like overexerting yourself for things that are just like, I don't like high maintenance relationships. Like if it's not wife, kids, immediate family, like I can't deal with all your shit too. You know what I mean? So, but in a sense where it's like there's certain things that like I feel like I still like I have certain tendencies for like I don't know, like fucking watching certain shows or there's this one song that I used to listen to when I was this age, and it made me feel like for instance, like if anybody plays 80s music around me, it instantly puts me in a good mood. I don't know what the fuck it is, but 80s music's just
Love
like,
80s music.
I love it. And I'm like, I wasn't even born in that time, but I mean, I was born in 88, but you know what I mean? I wasn't, around, but 80s music just does something to me. Like those things like that, I don't mind shit like that. Like everybody has something or error. Like if you fucking dress like goddamn Disco Dan or something like that, fucking who cares? But like if it's causing a problem where that person's not progressing, yeah, I cut ties. I don't know. As far as helping them, good luck to you. Like I don't know. That's a lot. That's a lot.
I feel like, I'm taking a class and it's lifespan development. And they were saying, similar to what S was saying, that when you peak, people who are slightly taller, especially young men, girls who are slightly physically attractive earlier on, they have a harder time in adult life because they are handed certain opportunities that the other children who are late bloomers don't really get. So they kind of adapt to living and expecting a certain way. So they have a harder time as adults because the guys who are late bloomers, most of them are more successful. And that's a fact. Like it's not me talking shit.
No,
it's a fact that the guys who were overlooked and weren't popular are probably the highest paid right now.
Yeah.
Like the
they
tech
said
kids,
that short people or like short men.
Well, they have to think about it.
Yeah,
they have to put a little bit more effort into their lives.
Yeah.
They have to work a little harder to get to afford certain things. As a person who peaks a little earlier, especially they said for young women, they said it can be very detrimental. They said a lot of young women end up who peak early, who mature early, they basically find themselves in situations that they're not mentally prepared for. A lot of them end up drug addicted or addicted to alcohol or addicted to other things. Like they have a higher that too. Like, but that's the thing. They find themselves in socially mature situations that they're not mentally prepared for, even though they physically look like it. Yeah. You're apprehended as a young girl, like, depending on what you look like, it could be as early as 13. You have a guy looking at you.
But so you're saying that when you peak at a certain age, you get stuck to that?
It's almost like developmentally, mentally, you don't mature. You don't kind of like put in the effort towards life because...
Towards maturing.
Yeah.
I can get that because it's like if you hit, like, for instance, like, what drives a man to do so, like, to reach levels of success? Like, for instance, like you said, the high school jock that's all popular, he's getting all the hoes in high school.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
also, he's getting away with a lot more stuff because they need him to win the game. Like, how many guys do you know? Like, I know a lot of guys who just didn't get in trouble for anything.
Yeah, so they're like, they have all these advantages.
Right. And
it's almost like, well, what's the incentive for me to, like, actually think?
Exactly.
They're not even thinking about later. Almost, because it's like, everything's great right now.
Right.
So, like, what is the average 16, 17, 18-year-old kid thinking about in regards of the future? Like, you know what I mean? Like, so I can see how that would hinder, especially like a woman. Like, it probably can be even worse for like a really attractive women. Like, some girls that were like in high school that was overly developed at fucking like 15, 16 years old. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you had fucking 30-year-olds, 40-year-olds that are already well financially set, like trying to coerce them and date them and give them what they want. At that point, it's just like, shit, well, like, I don't need to do anything. I get everything I need anyway, so.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I could definitely see that being a thing. And I guess that, I don't know. Maybe I didn't look too deep into it, but I can see that being a reason. And I guess that person, like, if that person would have to have some kind of moment of clarity or enlightenment where they have to, like, I don't know. You kind of got to think, like, what do you want later on in life? And like, what if all else fails? You know what I mean? Like, what if? And well,
I think that's what happens. Like, they get to a point where that doesn't work anymore. Like, everything gets stripped away. I think it's not until like God or universe or whoever brings you to your knees, and all those so-called entitlements and privileges you get from those feelings and behaving that way, once they start getting you into situations that you can't get yourself out of, I think that may push someone to do that. But then you got to also think about, again, in this class, they talked about parenting. Mm-hmm. If your parents tell you you're great all your life and you ain't really that great, yeah, you know, or your parents just kind of like coddle you and make excuses for you, and they kind of like don't teach you accountability. Like you don't learn certain skills from your parents as growing up. You don't really get those. You become like their adult child. Yeah. And you kind of lean on them for that. Like I think I saw some video and it was saying that a lot of people who are kind of stuck in that way, in this nostalgia where it takes over their lives, is their inner child struggling. Yeah. Their inner teen is struggling. Like they're fighting for space.
So what about the person that was a loser back in the day, right? And now they're at a point where they still don't want to take that transition into like being a functional adult. Like, you know, they're not, it's not the person Sade was talking about, like the person that peaked in high school and that wants to hold on to that identity. Yeah. What about the person that never really had the identity in high school, but wants to stay at like in their mom's basement, or, you know what I mean?
Again, I think that goes back to like being coddled.
I think that's the parenting.
Because it's like, if they, I don't know, maybe he just has low, or he or she has low ambition, low, like, I don't know. Like if the parents coddling them, I'm not gonna lie. Like do I do this? So like for instance, like me and my siblings got like big gaps between us. We got 10. I got an older brother that's 10 years older than me, and I got younger sisters that's 10 years younger than me. And the way we were raised are like reasonably different. Like my brother went through some things that I didn't go through, and I went through a lot of things that my sisters didn't go through. And my parents like really meddled down when my sisters were born. And let's just say like they're a little different. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that they don't have drive. They have a lot of drive, but it's just certain things that I noticed. I don't want to use this because like there's certain things that I noticed that's different between us. You know what I mean? And I feel like parenting definitely is a big reason for that. Like I'm a firm believer that if you coddle your kids, you're like really maiming them. Like you're definitely maiming them, because at the same time it's just like, I don't know, like
the real world don't work like that.
Don't work like that. Because at the end of the day, you got. I feel like every person should think like, what would I do if my parents are gone? Yeah. Would I be okay financially? Right. Like, will I have a plan? Will I sink? Will I drown? Like, if your parents go, and you're like, damn, I have nothing. I don't know what to do. I'm gonna be fucked up. Yeah, that's probably a problem. That's probably a problem. And I don't know. Like, what do you tell? What do you tell like a person like that? Like, I don't have experience.
I think it's a personal journey. I think that some people will never grow up. I think some people will always be there. And I think that some people will, personally for me, like, I know I didn't want to grow up. I really didn't. I really, really, really fucking did not want to be. I did not want to be an adult. I never had. Like not adult.
When we're saying becoming an adult, like in my perspective, I look at it as like doing what you need to do versus doing what you want to do.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's when I realized that, okay, I'm living my life as like a functional adult now. Like I just can't do what I want anymore. Yeah. But is that really it? Is that because that's it in my mind? You know what I mean? Is that really like the deciding factor of like if you're actually adulting?
I think it's being responsible, like being able to afford the things that you want to do. Because if you think about it as an adult, like, yeah, like we work, we have to work, we have all these things we have to do, but it affords us to do what we want to do. If you do it right, especially, like you'll be better off later on. And I think it's about delayed gratification. I think
that
maturity is impulsive, inconsequential thinking, like not really thinking about the consequences of what you're doing, feeling like it doesn't matter, I can do what I want. That's being, you know how they say you're grown? That's being grown. Like, I'm at the age where I'm grown. I could do what I want. Can't nobody tell me nothing. But certain things are in place and certain rules are in place so that everybody can function properly. Like, you know, if nobody grew up, you know, how would this world operate? How would the trains operate? How would the buses operate? How there wouldn't be no teachers. Like, you need to kind of like be productive as possible member of society to kind of keep society going.
I think that there's levels of adulting. For instance, so like what you just said, like I agree with that 100%. Like delayed gratification. Like you can still be a functional adult and just get the bare minimum done. Like for instance, it's like
pretty much
like it really comes down to the question of this. Like if you don't have the responsibilities like children and you're just like you're an adult, a single adult or in a relationship adult, the question is like, hey, do I want to eat peanut butter and jelly for the rest of the month?
Or do I want
to have like wholesome, do I want my girl to be pissed off at me for the rest of the month or just be moody as fuck or have an attitude or potentially lose her? Or do I want to like do some things, have some memories with her and like and build this relationship? Those are the levels of like, I feel like that's the level of adulting. Cause it's like, I feel like, you know, for the average man, right? Or I'm going to speak through the man's lens because I'm a man. I don't know what the woman's lens is like. For the average man, it's like, it's rent is high as fuck. I'm not going to say that like act like it's not, but you can get by just doing the bare minimum. Get your rent paid, eat some shitty ass food all week for the month because it's cheaper. And you'll be all right for a while. But then it's like, how long can you sustain that for? Mm-hmm. How long is that going to work for you? Before something like, you know what I mean? Like before your check engine light turn on. Before you get some sick health problems. Right. You know what I'm saying? Right. Before, like, so it's like the level of adulting is like, I feel like throughout a year, through trial and error, it's like, all right, yeah, I thought this amount of money was a lot. Or I thought this amount of effort was a lot. But I see that.
I have a question.
What's up?
Can you still be an adult without having your own?
What do you mean? Like own what?
Like, can you still be an adult without having your own car, your own apartment, your own bills?
I don't think so. It depends on like what your situation is. If you're like taking care of somebody in your parents' crib, like that's why you're there. But I feel like you don't have your own space.
Yeah,
you can't be an adult because you don't make the rules there.
You won't feel like an adult.
You're living in somebody else's world.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, you're not the master of anything.
Right.
Like even if you rent something, you're still the master of like certain
your
things
domain.
in that.
So even like say if a dude is he's taking care of his mom or something.
If he's taking care of his mom, that's different. Because now I feel like that's more adult than anything.
That's what I'm saying. But does he have to be paying the bills if he's taking care of his mom?
You're paying way more than the bills right now when you're taking care of your moms.
That's true.
You're paying with your time. You're paying with like sacrificing relationships that or would be endeavors that you would be taking on. Like your relationships is affected by that. You know what I mean? Some people may not hear that. Like you tell a girl like, oh yeah, I live with my parents, but the reason why, as soon as you say parents, like I'm out of here, dude. Like that relationship's never gonna happen. Like you know what I mean? So
it's like taking care of your mom in your mom's house or taking care of your mom in your house.
I don't think
that's what you're saying.
I don't think there's a difference. If you're the only reason that you are in that location is not because you can't go anywhere else. That's because you're there to help your mother. That's I don't think that's the same as not having your own spot. I feel like you're doing this. You're sacrificing time, your things in your life for the greater good, and I think that's commendable. And you are an adult, but.
I think there's a big gray area in this conversation because there's this like factor of manipulation you would have the guy that's using that situation as an excuse to not pay their own bills.
There are a lot of people that do that.
You have a quote unquote functional adult that's he don't have a crib, but he's staying with his baby moms to take care of the kids. He don't have a car. You know, that's because it's backed up with tickets, and but he can still drive her to work.
So
he don't have. You get what I'm saying?
That's baby boy right there.
You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. So there's a lot of baby boys.
There's a lot of those out there.
That's levels of adulting.
I think you can fake looking like you're adulting.
Yeah.
There's ways around what a so-called adult looks like and does, and you can parade as if you are an adult.
Yeah, you definitely can.
And not truly be responsible for anything.
For anything at all.
For anything. And I think there's a lot of people who do that.
I know a lot of people that do that.
Listen, I'm trying not to go there.
Yeah.
Cause I'm not perfect.
Hey, listen, none of us are.
Like I feel like it is hard. There is a learning curve to like truly be an adult. And I think it's kind of like what you said, like what kind of life you want to live and what you're willing to do to get that.
Mm-hmm.
And also a lot of people have kids really early on and you don't like, I know I had my son when I was 21.
Yeah,
and I didn't know what the fuck I was doing, but I knew I wasn't about to be no bitch on no bus with no stroller. So I got a car.
Yeah,
I knew that the shit that I was living in, it wasn't working for me, so I left.
Yeah.
However, like shit hit the fan, and God brought me to my knees and brought me back to New York. I didn't foresee that happening.
Yeah,
and when I came back, like. It worked out for a little bit. I was with my mom and,
Yeah, but that's different. That's different,
but
though.
It's still like you can get, as a person who's experienced this, you can almost get scared by adult life. You can almost get scared by trying and failing and then having little people to be responsible for and over rely on support. And then I know there's people who don't have the support at all to figure it out. So I feel like it's really like up to you. And SJ always talks about thresholds. I really feel like it's up to you and the threshold you're willing to, what you're willing to sacrifice and what you're willing to do, how much you're willing to put effort into your life to make your life feel like, okay, I'm actually fulfilled. I actually can, show up and not lie and be proud of my life and what I'm doing and what I've accomplished and what I'm building. Even if I'm not exactly where I want to be, am I putting in enough effort to create momentum to kind of be proud of who I am as an adult? Like, I feel like there's a sense of pride when you can say, I went through this, I went through that. This was hard. That was hard. I grew up this way. But you know what? I decided I wanted a life that looked different from the life that my parents provided me. And I know that this is what it's going to take. And by any means necessary, I'm going to figure this shit out. And that, like at any place or any level you're at, I feel like that means more about being an adult, is making those hard decisions when you could easily say, oh, I'm just like at my job. Like most people just go to the shelter. I'm just go to the shelter and then I'll just, go on Section 8 and then I can only work part-time. So I'll stay working part-time. Like, are they not an adult? And it's like, yeah, but it's like, I feel like when you're over relying and over depending on an entity that's not you, then that may be questionable. And you may not necessarily feel as proud to say, like, I'm an adult and this is what I'm doing with my life and this is what I've accomplished or this is what I've worked for.
Wait, you mean children?
No, adults. Like someone, like anybody who's an adult.
You're saying like an entity that's not you. You mean like the universe changing your life?
No, I mean like the government, your parents, your grandparents, like an entity outside of you, a person outside of you, whether it's a government assisted program or like, and they help. Like, I wish I could get on fucking Section 8. rent is high as fuck in New York. But some people give into that and they say, I'm not even going to try. I'm just going to get on this and I'm just going to stay there. And I'm like Gino said, I'm just going to do bare minimum.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie.
And then there's people who are just like, I'll never do that because I grew up that way or I see what that looks and I kind of want more. Yeah. So they're willing to put more effort into it.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like it varies. It definitely varies. Cause I just had a thought that also like we talking about moving out of our parents' crib. I left that when I was 17 years old. In retrospect, I wish I would have stayed longer, even though there was things there that I couldn't deal with. I feel like you gain something from leaving the nest when you're really ready with a little bit of like adult junior experience instead of leaving at a young age. You make a lot more dumb mistakes. But
I think we're also not fully prepared.
We're not fully prepared.
I think you're not supposed to be.
Yeah, I don't see. That's the thing. I don't feel like that. I don't agree with that at all because
I think your parents are supposed to provide you with skills and tools and understandings that you can pull from within a given situation. You should be able to hit up your parent and say, "Hey, I'm dealing with this. I really don't know how to do this."
Idealistically, yeah.
You know, that's what I'm saying.
I think everybody has a different case study though.
Yeah, I don't think it's everybody.
And like the only thing that could diagnose your case study is your own mistakes. You know what I mean? So like you have to fall different from I have to fall than how you have to fall. You get what I'm saying? For us to get back up and figure out how to ride that metaphorical bike.
I agree, but still at some point I do feel that the longer you stay, not like dwelling there for like fucking till you're like 30, but like being in your parents' crib until like you know, say you're in college, finish college. I think that's okay. Like at least, or land a job. I think that's okay because the less you have to spend from a financial standpoint, like just fucking bills alone. Like college students don't make shit, dogs. Like if that's the route you took. Like
I'm talking about after college.
Oh, okay. So,
I'm talking about after
I'm thinking
college.
you're talking like 18, like 19, 20 years old.
But 18, like at least for me, if I have kids, 18, you're ready to go to college.
Yeah.
So 18, I'm gonna send you off to college, or you can commute, 22. And then after that, you like get out there.
You should.
You're not gonna be forced to be working at Walmart, Target, and shit like that. You have a degree now.
Yeah,
figure it out.
But that don't always work all the time, especially not in the fucking economy that we're in right now.
I don't know nobody with a college degree that's fucked up.
I do. I know plenty.
I don't know nobody.
I know people with a master's degree.
That's fucked up.
That's fucked up.
I don't know nobody like that.
Yeah, I do.
I don't.
The economy's not how it used to be.
You know somebody with a degree that's fucked up?
My friends with degrees are just fine.
Yeah, I don't know.
They're doing.
How old are they?
My age.
Yeah, but that's a different time.
It's 2 years.
What do you mean 2 years?
It's only 2 years difference.
I'm talking about now from 10 years to like people are 24 now. They don't have the same fucking economy we have.
So you're saying getting your degree, then going out to the real world.
Yeah.
Like that?
Yeah.
I say struggle.
Nah.
I say struggle.
So you have to realize, you would tell your daughter to go struggle on the street? See, that's what I'm saying.
I would tell my son to go struggle on the street.
I see. That's the thing. So that's what I said. It doesn't apply to everybody, and it depends on it. Like, you know, it depends. Like,
my daughter, I would I would kind of say that she's not gonna have the safety net, but she's gonna have the safety net.
Exactly.
You get what I'm saying?
Scare them, but like,
you get what I'm saying? I'm gonna be like, oh, you better figure that shit out.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
But that's what I'm saying. Like you as a parent, you provide this, like as you're growing up, right? Let's say like when I was I used to live with my grandparents for a while. My grandmother used to I used to sit with her while she used to be paying the bills. I always used to watch my grandfather come in the house, give her his check. And I used to watch her balance the checks, pay all the bills. That was something that I learned from her, that I was like, okay, this is possibly how you do it. Like there's little examples in the adults in my life that provided assistance as an adult for myself. There were a lot of things that I have to learn for myself, of course. Like my parents didn't teach me shit about money. They didn't teach me shit about money. And as an adult, I'm struggling trying to figure this shit out. And I said to my mom, I'm like, I'm struggling. I don't know what I'm doing. She's like, oh, well, I didn't know either. And it's like, whoa, okay. So as an adult, I have to take responsibility and figure that shit out regardless of what I was told. However, it's like, imagine how much more prepared you would be to take on certain things. If you saw certain things, if you were taught certain things, you'd probably have a higher success rate.
Yeah.
I also think saving while you're at your parents' crib is different from saving while you're paying bills.
Yeah, exactly. Because you can save way more when you're at your parents' crib.
Not only that, it's like, you really know how to save.
Yeah.
At your parents' crib, you're just fucking saving.
Sorry.
You're just saving every fucking thing.
Yeah, that's true.
Know what I mean?
That is true. But
you don't really know how to really budget your life correctly. You're just saving everything that's not how life is.
But I mean, so like here the thing is this. You kind of need a parent. So what are we talking about? Idealistically, what it should be or what the reality of life is?
Reality.
So the reality of life is we don't all have the perfect parents. So I didn't learn much about money growing up.
Yeah.
So in the end of the day, it's like, but there's still things that I would have gained by just staying, like I wouldn't have had to struggle and work these fucking manual labor, crazy ass jobs while trying to go to college, which inevitably led for me to fail out of college, to drop college, start trying to like just fucking get more work to do. Then I started doing illegal shit to try to make money. As I said, fuck it. And then I went to the military, which was a blessing because that's where I figured it out. Because I didn't have the restraints. Like military takes care of all your financial shit, but you got to focus on what you're doing. I needed that. So now if I would have stayed home where I could have gotten my shit together, like, oh, I tried this, that shit didn't work. Oh, I tried this, didn't work. Maybe things would have been different in my life. You know what I mean? Without the military. Well, there's other people that didn't have, I don't feel like everybody, like if you want to talk about idealistically, they have the great parents, that's like probably can give them everything that they need as like the perfect guide to like life. And then, oh yeah, you graduated college. I gave you the guide to life. Now go ahead. Yeah, that'd be great. But I don't think, how many people are idealistically like, you know what I mean?
See, you said something key in there. I noticed that there's a pattern that I see with a lot of my friends, right? Uh-huh. A lot of the times, just understanding the dynamic of what their father did and what their grandfather did gives you the tools to know what worked for somebody who was set before you. You know what I mean? Your father was in the military.
Yeah, but it didn't work out for him.
He knew the ins and outs of how it would work for you. You get what I'm saying? It was almost like he got to do it over through you. You get what I'm saying?
Okay.
And like a lot of times, like I have a friend, he works at the MTA. Mm-hmm. His father worked at the MTA. It worked for him. They have the same dynamic, like brain chemistry, to where like this is a job they can tolerate. Okay. I know. I was just talking to my dad the other day. My dad he don't really open up too much about things, but I just found out that his father used to make furniture in Jamaica, right? Do measurements, then craft and all that. He ended up being an architect. You get what I'm saying? That gives me an idea of you gotta remember trades used to be like last names. Yeah. It was like a family thing. Like before you didn't go to like BOCES and learn a trade. You had to learn it
from your parents.
From your
family.
Yeah, it was kept like secret. Mm-hmm. You get what I'm saying? And like a lot of people like in this day and age, like their parents are doing one thing and we're just like, I want to just do we don't really know. We don't really get like that certain things like go with like our brain chemistry and our inclinations. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So it's like going back to the point, I kind of like took the long way around, but going back to the point, it's like a lot of people don't have to take this long way of figuring shit out and falling so hard on their face like that. You get what I'm saying? Like, it's not like we're throwing our kids out in the street and pushing them into like a scary world for them to be eaten. Like a lot of times, like, like it's an easier path. You get
So
what I'm saying?
if we just follow our parents.
I don't want to say if you follow your parents, because that's definitely not the case.
Yeah, because
with a lot of shit, but it's like it's there.
I don't think it's always there though, because in the end of the day, so what you're saying is like things that just worked out from
I just see a pattern with a lot of my friends, and it's kind of closely, if it's not the same exact thing, it's closely related to what their parents did.
But so those are things that you saw that did work out. But what about the things that don't? You know what I'm saying? Like I don't know if it's always like it's not always gonna be that way.
And like compared to a bunch of my friends and like just thinking about like people I know, a lot of niggas don't know their dads.
That is true.
And that's the problem.
I mean, yeah, it's like there's studies, millions of studies on that.
That's what I'm saying.
A fucking dual parent household is definitely the child's.
But it's not even just a dual parent household. As like a working male, like figuring out what your father did to make his ends meet and what your grandfather did to make his ends meet. You don't think it applies in any way?
Not in any way. But see, this is what I'm saying. Example. So now I'm thinking about my situation.
Think of your friends that make money now.
If you're talking about my friends,
think because you know their fathers.
Yeah.
Now think about what their fathers do compared to what they do. Is it remotely similar?
I have two friends that went the exact same path as their fathers, and I have other friends that didn't. And there's like Papa didn't go anywhere near the same way his father went, and he's way more successful. Then you have Slink and Kenny that went and they're doing great too. So I'm just saying, it's not, I don't think, and then I have people that try to go in the like paths the ways of their father and it just did not go well. Like for instance, like I could have went to the military and got my head blown off, bro, and it was there would be a lot of personal things I'd have to say in order for like, and
I think that it's not about doing what your father or your parents do. I think it's about having a blueprint. That's
what I'm trying to say.
Having a guideline of what's possible for you and having someone who like you can be different and nurturing, and your parents like, okay, I see he's really into that, and nurturing that. And having parents that nurture what they see in you, but setting the blueprint of I get up, I do this, and then I get that. Like, and having a cohesive relationship with your parent, your mother and your father, watching that, it's like, okay, I'm kind of seeing how a woman and a man can coexist and how that union may work. It's about having a blueprint. If you don't know what you're doing and working with and you're starting from zero, you're kind of lost in the sauce and you're just making that shit up as you go.
That's what I'm trying to say with like my point. That it was really just like a blueprint. That's like that's a perfect word to explain what I'm saying.
Okay, so I
like it's a blueprint, right?
Okay.
You ever like in high school you go to your guidance counselor and they make you take this test to see what careers it's sort of the same thing.
Yeah, I get that.
You know what I mean? I'm not saying that you're remotely like verbatim the same thing as your father.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But you guys are gonna have like you came from him.
Yeah.
You know? You guys are gonna have similar neuropathic fucking synapses and shit, shit just gonna like you guys understand things similarly.
I get what you're saying.
You know what I mean?
Get what you're saying.
And you might deviate. The point is just having like a structure that provides a path. If you see your dad getting up every morning, going to work, he comes home, your mother kisses him and makes dinner, you kind of have somewhat of an idea of what that looks like. If he's provided you a good life and you say, Dad, I don't really want to do what you do, but I have an idea about what I want to do. And he puts you into a class that teaches you that. He finds a school that puts you in there. You'd be a lot better off.
Yeah, I agree.
You'd be a lot. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying like we don't have no real blueprint. Like even when it comes to like adulting and relationships, we don't have no real good blueprints. Like a lot of us don't get to see structurally sound.
Who's we?
General. I can't speak for white people. I'm a black girl, so if I say we, that's what I'm talking about.
You talking about black, like
black individual, the black community. You don't necessarily see a lot. Like I have a lot of friends who have both parents, so I saw it. But there's some people who didn't see that.
We gotta talk about we.
I was just confused because I'm not gonna lie. I really like this whole time. I'm just trying to figure out. Like I feel like we all saying valid things, but I'm trying to find the general where we're going. So I was just
because all right. So just to run it back, recap, right?
Yeah.
We're talking about people stuck in their in their 20s, right?
I got that.
And not being able to get out of there. Then we talk about what type of people be getting stuck in their 20s. Now we're talking about solution based ways to figure it out
for people that are already past that point in their 30s. Is what we're talking about?
Just in general, because it was really just adulting.
Okay, so
you know what I mean, and taking that step from, you know what I mean, being the kid around the house into finding a career that really suits you.
Okay,
you know what I mean? Because a lot of times it's I remember me. I don't want to do shit. I don't, but what I want to do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sometimes you can't find a creative job as a graphic designer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Tough.
So what do you do? And you finally find a job as a graphic designer, but you make $40,000 a year.
Yeah.
And it's not.
Enough.
That's what I'm saying. What do you do?
Yeah.
Do you just say I'm gonna only do what I want to do because I'm not happy?
No.
Or are you gonna find something else that you're good at, or something else that you can tolerate, or what have you?
I would find something else that I can make more money in and be proficient in that, and have it fund whatever else I'm trying to do on the side.
Exactly. So my example is pretty good, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was telling you my grandfather, he used to make furniture in Jamaica, right? And that's drawing up a blueprint, writing something down and turning and manifesting it into reality. Then my father took that. It was different times. He's an architect. My father put himself through college and made a more sophisticated career off of the same blueprint that his father set. Right? With me, it's a different times. Right? So I'm taking that whole writing a blueprint out and manifesting it into me writing a script, into me doing a storyboard, sitting down with you. What do you think about this? And we turn it into a movie, or we turn it into a music video and things like that. Our brains all came from the same lineage. You get what I'm saying? That's why it's easy for me to be yo, let's go do a podcast out of thin air. How are we going to do that? Oh, we're going to do the logo. I'm visualizing it. That's just, you know what I mean? Things that I innately just know how to do. Just like what I'm saying with, if someone were to talk and figure that shit out with their father and the way their brain works, I know I'm chopping it up. You know what I'm saying? But does
not
that
really?
You get what I'm saying?
You
I feel like I'm searching for it too much.
Well, genetically speaking, you are your parents. You know, you are women are their grandmothers. Men are their fathers and grandfathers. So that is already genetically embedded in you.
He's trying to tell me so. Yeah.
My head pop in.
Yeah. I'm trying to switch it to him.
No, I was going to tell you, just turn off our camera and turn it back on.
Yeah, we have technical difficulties. Sorry about this, guys. Damn. I'll just cut this out.
Yeah.
But you guys know now. Fuck.
The jig is up.
The jig is up.
Oh man, throwback.
Yeah. Keep that thought, Shawty.
If not, if y'all keep singing, it's gone.
Yeah, that's how that ADHD.
Yeah, I can't.
We need a new camera, yo.
I'll buy it this week.
Because the box in the corner.
I know. I'm gonna just buy it this week.
Wait, what happened to it?
I don't know.
Seems like it's kind of done.
Oh my god. Sometimes it just blacks out now.
Yeah, I ain't never seen it do that.
It's a wonky morning.
Yeah. It's our first time being in here this early.
Yeah.
So it's
the
like
vibe is different.
The vibe is a little different. We gotta
next time I'm gonna put something in my belly.
Yeah, I definitely should have ate, bro. I ain't gonna lie. I thought I was like, I'll be alright. Nigga, I'll be here like
we just did one show.
All right. There you go.
All right, go say it again.
I was saying, like, you genetically speaking are the people that came before you.
Yeah.
So it's in you. Like, I know my mom's a teacher. For a long time, I thought I had to be a teacher just like her, but I'm a different kind of teacher. Like I said, it's like there's a blueprint. I saw my mom out of all of her siblings, she's the one who went to college. So I had a blueprint. I knew after high school, you'd probably be better off if you go to college. You know, like it's just having like seeds planted in you that kind of give you an idea of which route to take.
Yeah, even if you make
that route your own, you're supposed to. I tell my daughter all the time, I'm not here to make you what I want you to be. You don't belong to me. You don't belong to me. I'm here to be your guide. And when I see something that you're inspired by or that you're motivated or something that naturally comes to you, I'm going to want to nurture that. I'm just here to guide you, just to give you a blueprint so you don't have to go through what I went through. That's what initially your parents are for. Like I tell my kids all the time, my son, I'm like, you're not just a football player. You're not just an athlete. You're also really good at math. You can go into finance. You can go into business. There's so many different paths you can take based off of just like, they're called, just the natural things that you pick up on when you're a kid, like the things that you do when there's nothing. Yes, natural inclinations. Like when I was little, I played psychologist. Like what? I played psychologist. Like I literally had a folder and I had clients in my folder and I would have my cousins rotate as the clients and I would give them disorders and give them all kinds of shit. What do I do now?
A good book for that is Mastery by Roger.
Mastery is a great book.
Mastery.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is
at the crib.
Crazy, right?
Yeah.
What I'm saying is you have to like, it's hard when you don't have a blueprint. When you see your parents kind of like getting, no disrespect to anybody who does this because I've gotten them, but seeing your parent just sleep on the couch all day, get up, have food stamps, collect a social security check, that's your blueprint.
Yeah.
So why would you grow up? You don't know what to do. That's why some people say, I could never be in a suit. I could never sit in office because they never seen nobody do it. Take your parents to work day. What do you think that's for? It's to give you a blueprint. It's to say, hey, this is what I do. This is what this person in that office does. This is what, when I went to work with my mom, I saw people doing all kinds of things, not just teachers. I saw art teachers. I just saw people who I knew intimately doing something that planted a seed that maybe I could do that. When you don't see it at all and you don't have no idea, where do you go from there? And I think that plays a role in maturing and knowing how to operate somewhat as an adult. Is you kind of have to have something to go off of. And if you don't have nothing to go off of, there's books. There's like, you have to figure it out for yourself to kind of just give into arrested development. And also, I want to say that psychologically, scientifically, doing drugs before you're a certain age, your brain doesn't necessarily grow at the same rate. So you could be a late bloomer if you started drinking or smoking or doing any kind of drugs before
there goes me.
Before you were 18.
I'm definitely a late bloomer.
But before you're 18, if you start like doing drugs, you kind of it's easier to get stuck where you started doing that because your brain, it warps your brain development. So I think like all of these things, I'm like to say, all of these things come into play with people stuck in a mindset of wanting to be, and also people just feel like, you know, what they were doing in their 20s were so much better than the shit that they have to do now. But as a person who's made it to their 30s, like I know some people who didn't make it. I know a lot of people didn't make it past. I know a lot of people who didn't make it past 19, 20. Yeah. I know some people who didn't see 21.
Yeah.
So I feel like anytime anybody asks me like, oh, how old are you? And I'll tell them my age proudly. I'm proud of every single fucking year. And I learned so much. And I feel like the more I took accountability and responsibility for my life here on out, now I know that my future is created by me. So I feel more powerful, and I feel like as an adult, that's where you kind of get the pride from, because you get to create your life. Your life isn't up to your parents. Your life isn't up to your teachers. Your life isn't up to your friends. Your life is up to you. And a lot of people just don't want that responsibility.
Like that.
Like that.
With that said, y'all, I know that was a little wonky episode, a lot of technical difficulties, but that's still another episode of the I Seen.
Time out?
Bye, guys.
You dig.